Hello, Chattanooga. You're listening to all new Nooga Radio, noogaradio.com, 92.7 FM Clutch with Keon Rose. And I want to talk to you today about the NFL draft because it's coming up, and the draft combine was this past weekend, and I'm still really excited about it. And we've got a lot of questions just floating around because this is what the NFL does to people, okay? Especially if you're a guy that watches a lot of college football and you watch a lot of NFL football. What ends up happening, of course, is that you just know everybody just from watching, right? If you're a fan of both, because there are fans of the NFL that aren't big fans of college and vice versa. But if you're a fan of both, your football calendar from January to December is full. There is not one down moment in the entire year outside of, I don't know, July, June. It's more like May and June is when you kind of have some downtime so far as the NFL and college football go. But then you have the NBA Finals. So what difference does it make? So when you have all of this stuff, right, and it's interesting to me that there is so much of it that you got to parse through it all. Because I think that this year has a lot of interesting stuff, right? I talked a little bit before on Sam Jordan's show, Sports Talk with Sam Jordan. I was filling in for Sam. I will be filling in for Sam this week. But I was talking about this on Sam's show that Josh Rosen is one of the more interesting guys in the draft because he's just got this personality that you really don't want with your quarterbacks, except you'll take it. If the guy is good, you'll take it, right? We know that there are quarterbacks that have had personality flaws all along. And if they've been good, we just live with it, right? Brett Favre was an instinctual football player. Brett Favre was not like the most intelligent quarterback ever, but he's one of the greatest of all time because Brett Favre just knew what to do. But Brett Favre didn't know what a cover two defense was after he had been in the league 3 years. And once someone explained it to him, he was like, oh, yeah, no, I know what that is. He just didn't know the concept. Which is bizarre. Like, Brett Favre was not perfect. And Joe Namath and Bart Starr partied. I mean, there are stories about Bart Starr coming to playoff games hung over. They're great quarterbacks, so we let them get away with it. You can get away with it if you're good. The same thing that doomed Jay Cutler is the same thing that Aaron Rodgers is. A sort of distant, prickly personality that doesn't smile very much. The difference between Aaron Rodgers being in State Farm ads and Jay Cutler not being in State Farm ads is that Aaron Rodgers has won a Super Bowl and Jay Cutler has not even come close. That helps. It does. Like Eli Manning throws too many interceptions. You look at a statistical thing with it. Tony Romo's statistically was a better quarterback when he was playing than Eli. But Eli's got a ring and Romo doesn't. And it's a little unfair, right? Because the Giants, when Eli won both of his titles, were better football teams than the Cowboys the entire time that Tony Romo was playing there. And I mean the entire time. Like, if you had ever given Tony Romo a guy like Ezekiel Elliott, I mean, we're talking about a different animal entirely. He never had a running game that looked that good. Even when DeMarco Murray was there, they never had a running game that looked that good. So, I mean, it's crazy how much winning impacts all of this stuff. And Josh Rosen's interesting because he's got that same prickly personality. That same personality, you don't really want to get close to that guy. Guy looks like, one wrong word, he might bite your head off. And of course, he's very politically outspoken, which I think people actually don't like that from their athletes. For years, people were saying that athletes need to be better role models. And it's like the moment athletes start talking about what they believe in, well, never mind. Right? Like the moment that guys start mentioning the stuff that they actually believe in, well, no, don't do that. Actually, we don't like that. People are liking the fact that athletes have a voice less and less, which to me is a little bit bothersome, because what makes a professional athlete different from you? Why do you get to have an opinion? It's not like you sit around with your friends and you're talking about what's wrong with the country, and then you go and you say to yourself, well, I work in landscaping, so what do I know? Right? Like nobody does that. Oh, well, I work at the mall though, so my opinion doesn't mean anything. I should just shut up and keep working at the mall. What makes these guys different from other Americans that we don't like to hear them talk? The only thing that I can tell is that their platform is louder than ours. Well, I get to stand in front of a microphone, but it's not like I'm a national guy. I mean, it's the platform is bigger. And it seems to me that when you have a platform that big and you say things that people don't like, they just tell you to shut up. And that has to be absolutely the most idiotic thing that America is going through right now, which is that most of my life, the thing that I've always loved about this country is that we could disagree with each other, but respect it. Right? Like, I think you're wrong. A conservative could say to a liberal, look, I think you're wrong. I don't agree with you on this, but I respect where you're coming from. And a liberal could say that to a conservative. Now, conservatives have closed themselves off. A lot of them, not really conservatives as much as they are anti-liberal. So a lot of conservative values have just sort of fallen off to the side so that they can oppose Democrats at every twist and turn. And liberals are hypocrites. The same thing that they call out the right for doing, they do. So it's just like you can't respect either side now. So obviously, the moment someone starts saying something you don't like, you just tell them to shut up. Which, helpful, you guys, really helpful. It's not. Where does that leave us? Where does that put us? And Josh Rosen's going to have a platform, and he's going to be able to say a lot of things, and he's going to get blasted in a lot of media. I imagine a lot of conservative media, if he has any success whatsoever, because we'll let him talk as long as he wins. Like if Josh Rosen on the field is a winner and guys want to follow him in the locker room, you know what? We're not going to stop him. The only way we're going to shut down Josh Rosen is if Josh Rosen can't win. That's it. So I don't think that I don't think we're necessarily in a position where we appreciate the fact that these guys have platforms, and that actually by speaking what you believe to be the truth, it opens up discussion for everybody. And that is being a good role model to kids. It is. Right? And you'd think that, I mean, Josh Rosen's got a lot of liberal ideas, but you'd think that if Josh Rosen were to step up and start using his platform, then maybe you have some conservative players step up and say some things. And we should embrace the conversation all around. I think so. And why not? We're good enough to. We're better than the way we're acting now. So why not? I think we have every ability to be. That's just my opinion on that. You're listening to Clutch with Keon Rose on all new Nooga Radio, noogaradio.com here on 92.7 FM. So the Josh Rosen thing is one of the interesting things in the draft to me. The other guy named Josh in the draft, Josh Allen, is also very interesting to me because Josh Allen is a very skilled quarterback, but his numbers are bad relative to the amount of hype that he has, which is that we're talking about Josh Allen being a first-round draft pick in the NFL. And I watched some Josh Allen tape. And I saw nothing on that tape that convinces me that Josh Allen is a first-rounder. Josh Allen, who plays in a Division II school, plays up in Wyoming. And that's not a knock against him because, again, you remember the Carson Wentz did as well. Carson Wentz played at North Dakota State Division two school. They won, I think, the title basically all 4 years that Carson Wentz was up there. And I think that in our desire to find Carson Wentz number 2, we turned to Josh Allen. Because I remember reading an article that scouts had descended upon Josh Allen, and Josh Allen didn't realize that people thought he was going to be a high draft pick. He didn't know where it came from. I think we're trying to manufacture another Carson Wentz, and it doesn't work this way. The NFL is a copycat league, right? Just monkey see, monkey do. You do something, I do it too. You run the Wildcat, I run the Wildcat. You run the read option, I run the read option. And we just add things to this game just because other people are doing it. And you don't want to fall behind if something starts to be successful. And so I think Carson Wentz being successful, Carson Wentz paved the way for Josh Allen to have all the attention that he's got. I just don't see it with Josh Allen in the same way that you could see it with Carson Wentz. Now, I was a big Carson Wentz skeptic as well. But once I actually saw Carson Wentz like play football, no, I took that back real fast. And I had to, because that guy's got it. Whatever it is, and I think it's just a combination of things, he's got it. He's got the strong arm, the ability to read a defense, the pro style experience, the mobility. He's got all of it. The strength. He's the total package, Carson Wentz is. I think you've got to believe in that young man. Josh Allen is not Carson Wentz. And that's, by the way, no way a knock on Josh Allen. I just think that Josh Allen got built up to be something that he's not. And I think he is, because we are in a copycat league in the NFL. Well, if you can find a Division II quarterback that's a diamond in the rough that maybe nobody was paying attention to because he is a Division II quarterback, then maybe there are more of them. Maybe we can find more. And by the way, God forbid that Josh Allen also be successful, in the extent that we are going to have a plague of teams trying to find Division II quarterbacks if we have back-to-back years where Carson Wentz and Josh Allen are successful. And I'm telling you that Carson Wentz is the outlier. I'm telling you that's not the norm, to find a guy that good playing at a Division II school. Usually, if you are good enough, they find you. And you're in a Division I school. You're in the SEC. You're in the Pac-12. You're in the Big 12. You're in the Big 10. I mean, hell, you're even in the Mountain West. The WAC. They will find you. You will not, you're not going to be up in Wyoming, North Dakota. That's where they go. That's where you go if they miss you. But they don't miss often. Like, I'm sorry. If you look at the numbers for the amount of players that are 5-star, 4-star, and 3-star recruits, most of those guys wind up in the NFL. Some of those guys do flame out. And by the way, for reasons beyond athletics. Most of those guys wind up in the league. When they overlook somebody, they generally overlook somebody rarely. It doesn't happen that often. So the idea that somehow Josh Allen is going to be Carson Wentz too, I don't see it. He's not as good a thrower of the football. He's not as accurate. He, to me, doesn't read defenses as well as Carson Wentz does. Also, he's not as mobile. He's not as big and strong. Where are we getting this? I really want to know where all this love for Josh Allen came from. If he turns out to be good, you know me, I'll stand here and I will eat all of my crow. I admit I was wrong about Carson Wentz. I thought this is one of those things that scouts do again. Here it comes again. We just find a guy and crown him the best quarterback in this draft. And as it turns out, he was, right? Jared Goff has seen a turnaround. Jared Goff is now playing better football now that he's no longer, coached by Jeff Fisher. But he's not better than Carson Wentz. I think if the Rams have that one to do over again, the Rams take Wentz. They've got a good enough team to where Jared Goff plays really good football, they can win. And he has been playing really good football. But I'm not seeing the Josh Allen thing. And I'm not sure where this is coming from. Clutch with Keon Rose on all new Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com. And teams see Lamar Jackson as a wide receiver. And to me, that is the other thing that I find to be ridiculous, is that Lamar Jackson is a guy to me that is a Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, and teams look at him and see a wide receiver. And I don't know why. I understand that he's got the obvious athleticism, that if you were to convert him to a wide receiver, there is no reason to believe that Lamar Jackson couldn't be highly successful doing that as a receiver, maybe as a kick and punt returner as well. He's just got that flashy, showy, athletic speed. But what I want to know is he's a guy that's been playing quarterback. And I think that Jason Lockenfora, by the way, in his CBS piece on this, made a really great point, which is that it's a little ridiculous to assume that just because scouts would like Lamar Jackson to be a wide receiver means that teams will draft him with the hopes that he'll be a wide receiver. I think he's going to get his chances at quarterback, because we talk about the accuracy concerns with Lamar Jackson, which is weird to me because Cam Newton had accuracy concerns. I mean, guys have accuracy concerns. Like Josh Allen has accuracy concerns, and no one is asking that Josh Allen figure out whether or not he wants to be a fullback. Like, that's insane. That is absolutely insane. It's only happening to Lamar Jackson, right? I do see a racial element there. I don't think that's all of it. I do think that, hey, if you think that the guy can't throw the ball well, then he still has value as an athlete, right? Which is different. And Lamar Jackson does have a funky delivery. I'm not saying that the scouts are making this up and are absolutely ridiculous for saying this, because he does have a funky delivery in the way that he throws the ball. His footwork isn't great. His feet are too close together when he throws, and so he's not as accurate as he could be. But there are so many quarterbacks in the league that are young that suffer from these problems. Blake Bortles has suffered from these problems and, quite frankly, still suffers from these problems. Jimmy Garoppolo suffers from these problems and, quite frankly, still suffers from these problems. And both of those guys inked enormous quarterback extensions. So I don't see this as a problem of something that you can't coach and that you can't fix and that a guy can't play. This convert him to wide receiver thing, I tend to see it with black players more often than I see it with white players. Like, in fact, I can't think of a single one where that's been the case. But when I look at Lamar Jackson, even though he's got that funky delivery, he's got this whip-like release that he throws the ball effortlessly. And the guy he reminds me the most of is Michael Vick. And while Michael Vick, when he first came into the league, was not the best pure pocket passing quarterback, you could still win games based on the very idea that the fastest guy on the field is the quarterback. And Michael Vick thinks that Lamar Jackson is better than him. So let that one sink in. Michael Vick thinks Lamar Jackson is better than him. I don't know if I agree with that, but Lamar Jackson's damn good. He is. And I would give that guy a chance and give that guy the coaching that he needs. Like, now, Andy Reid has already drafted Patrick Mahomes last year. Patrick Mahomes, the second out of Texas Tech. Because if I wanted to see Lamar Jackson go anywhere, to a guy that's known for coaching away bad quarterback habits, that's where I would want Lamar Jackson to go. To some place where the quarterback's coach is good or the head coach really believes in quarterbacks. That's where I would like to see him the most. And those three quarterback storylines, to me, are amazing and fascinating. The NFL is also engaged in a number of trades that I think are also interesting. And by the way, I've never seen the NFL open this much to trade before. I think the NFL is finally becoming a sport where you can trade and get something back fairly in return. The NFL never used to be this way growing up, and I wonder what it is that caused that to change. But we will discuss some of these trades and some more free agency stories. We got into it a little bit yesterday. Clutch with Keon Rose on Nooga Radio 92.7 FM.
Chattanooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM's news now.
A 55-year-old man was stabbed to death in Athens. It happened near Nyota. Officers say they found Raymond McDermott dead in his home. Police believe it was a domestic dispute that turned deadly. 33-year-old Jules Moore has been arrested. Deputies are stepping up security in Bradley County. Security booths will be set up in front of Bradley Central and Walker Valley High Schools. An armed deputy will keep a written log of who comes and goes from the campus, and a marked patrol vehicle will be there to show presence. Debris was spread across the road as a train and a tractor-trailer collide in Chattanooga. Nobody was hurt, but what a mess. Officials say it happened on Wauhatchie Pike last night around 5 p.m. The semi was hauling a load of toilet paper and paper towels, which left the debris field thoroughly teepeed. Val St. John for Nooga Radio News Talk 92.7 News Now.
Traffic, news, and information. Nooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM.
Expect fair to partly cloudy skies to continue through your nighttime. Cold overnight, lows mid and upper 20s. Now for your Wednesday, look for some sunshine with a breeze out of the north, though. Quite cold, highs up around 40 with more mainly dry and cold weather expected through Friday. Celebrate the new year with Dixieland Fireworks, locally owned with the largest selection around. A Black Hat dealer with the lowest prices in Dixie. Dixieland Fireworks, just off I-75 on Ringgold Road, East Ridge. And I'm Storm Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Hoare.
Chattanooga Morning News with Russ and Val. Weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM.
For years, you have heard these words, cash, 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 and more cash. Now, Rick wants you to buy on U.S. Gold American coins. Are you tired of making 1% on your investments with the banks, even 2 or 3% at best? Well, don't miss out. Stop by Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds at 5301 Brainerd Road in Chattanooga. Buy American. Buy now. Gold is on the rise. Certified U.S. Gold American Eagle coins at Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds, 5301 Brainerd Road in Chattanooga.
Oh, man, rush. I've got to get stuff for the party. Where can I go that's going to give me a wide selection of beer, wines, and spirits? Oh, I've got it. I'll go to Harry's Wine and Spirits, Signal Mountain. Maybe East Brainerd Wine and Spirits in East Brainerd. I could go to Riley's Wines and Spirits in Hickson. Wow, look at the huge selection in here. Look at these great prices. Amazing. Oh, yeah, I'm going to find something for my lady, too. I'm going to make this party a success.
Make your party a success when you stop in at Harry's Wine and Spirits in Signal Mountain, East Brainerd Wine and Spirits in East Brainerd, and Riley's Wine and Spirits in Hickson.
Mom's Furniture, her boxes of paperback romances, Mom's Estate. Oh, call Dan. Dan will help you get on with your life. Let Dan clear the old house, take care of everything. He'll hand you a nice check. 314-4034. Dan, the cleanup man. 314-4034. In this moment, who has your back? Do you know the name of your insurance agent? Does your agent know your name? Or would you call a 1-800 number that connects you with whom? Another state? Another country? Get a local independent insurance agent with Auto Owners Insurance. Someone you can call when bad stuff happens. In this moment, get an agent who will protect you in that moment. Let Goss Insurance in Chattanooga help you today. GossInsurance.wordpress.com. Goss, representing Auto Owners Insurance, the no problem people. GossInsurance.com. Goss. GossInsurance.com. Representing Auto Owners Insurance, the no problem people. 875-2500. 875-2500. Want a business phone system that gives you Outlook integration, Salesforce integration, smartphone integration? Why desk sets and expensive lines? Turn smartphones into a cohesive business system. Call Signal 619-1200. Signal Voice and Data 619-1200.
Nooga Radio, digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM knows your opinion is important. So call 800-8949. Agree or disagree. Call 423-800-8949. 800-8949. Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM and 95.3 HD4. News Talk Nooga Radio.
Sharp, opinionated, thought-provoking, clutch with Keon Rose.
You're listening to all new Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com, 92.7 FM, Clutch with Keon Rose. I'm Keon Rose. Thank you for joining me today. I've been spending a lot of time talking about the NFL today, but that's because we've got a lot of significant NFL news, a number of draft stories, a number of trades and free agency moves, right? We've been talking about Le'Veon Bell, and Le'Veon Bell is saying he doesn't mind sitting out next year and not playing. Right now, he won't be paid. But hey, if you're Le'Veon Bell and you've managed the money that you've made so far really well, then you've got the only option with leverage that you have is to show the team the value that you have to them. Le'Veon Bell has value to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And the only way to show them the value that you have, because the NFL is not necessarily a free market. If you get the franchise tag slapped on you, you don't get to go shop your services to other teams. You are stuck on the team that has franchise tagged you with a guaranteed amount of money for 1 year. Guys don't like 1 year deals. They like multi-year deals, and they like multi-year deals because you get the security of knowing I'm guaranteed X amount of dollars over time. Giving me a 1 year deal doesn't help me, because if I get injured this year, you can just dump me on the side of the road like garbage and move on. Doesn't help me. I want the guaranteed money over multiple years. And I want more money if I'm going to be more valuable to this football team. And Le'Veon Bell is the best player on the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're not having this discussion. Antonio Brown is great, but he's a wide receiver. And wide receivers do not throw the ball to themselves. Ben Roethlisberger has played good football, but he's also played really horrible football. The only consistent member of the Pittsburgh Steelers who, once he has the ball in his hands, can be dynamic and dangerous is Le'Veon Bell. And Le'Veon Bell gives you two players for the price of one. He is both an amazing running back and wide receiver. Yeah. So I don't want to hear from the Steelers that they don't want to pay the guy. They've been wanting to not pay the guy for years. And if you're Le'Veon Bell, you know you're too good for the $12.5 million that they shoveled your way. Man, there isn't anybody that dynamic in the league making $12.5 million. Right? I mean, the quarterbacks are all making in the upper 20s. It's not too much to ask if you're Le'Veon Bell to say, hey, I'm worth $18, $19 million, and I can get that somewhere else. The issue is not whether or not he should just take the money that they give him. It's that he can get it somewhere else. And you have to value guys where they're at. Like, unless Le'Veon Bell has said, look, I'm willing to take a price cut here, which Tom Brady's done and other guys have done. If they're not willing to take a pay cut to stay and play, you don't hold that against them. It doesn't somehow make you more selfish to want every bit of money that you're worth. That doesn't make any sense. So yeah, the Le'Veon Bell thing is just blowing up. The Steelers might actually start their season without Le'Veon Bell. And unless they work out some kind of contract agreement with Le'Veon Bell, they may miss him for a good chunk of the season. And I don't know how good the Steelers are without him. I don't. Because again, like I said, he's two players in one package. He's both guy that can catch the ball and guy that can run the ball. And at this point, the value of that kind of running back in this league is enormous. And by the way, Le'Veon Bell's a pretty good blocker as well as a running back. The value that he gives you is huge. I don't know that the Steelers can recover from not having a Le'Veon Bell. I don't think so. But the Eagles have traded, by the way. And we're just going to go through some of this news. The Eagles have traded with the Seahawks for pass rusher Earl Bennett. And that's going to make the Eagles passing attack, or pass rush rather, a more dangerous pass rush. I mean, it's already dangerous, by the way. I mean, we saw what they did in the Super Bowl to Tom Brady. We saw what they did to the Patriots. It's already a dangerous pass rush. And they're trying to make it better, right? And adding Earl Bennett makes the Eagles even scarier. We might actually get a repeat performance from the Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl, which fills my heart with absolute sadness to tell you, because I hate the Eagles. I hate them so much. The Philadelphia Eagles. I love the Chattanooga Eagles, but the Philadelphia Eagles, I can't stand them. And the fact of the matter is, they were the best team in the NFC East last year when I did my top to bottom teams in the National Football League. The Eagles, I had them at the top of the NFC East, and I had them as a Super Bowl contender. And they're better. They're better now. And they could get even better because they're looking to trade Nick Foles. And I think that's the smart decision. I understand that having a backup, having a quality backup is a commodity in this league that most teams can't have. But they're in a win-win situation with Foles. The Eagles want no less than a first rounder and a fourth rounder for Nick Foles. And I think that that's completely fair given what the guy did in the playoffs. Given the run that the Eagles went on. It's not like he just popped up in the Super Bowl and played. This guy went on a playoff run and led his football team with a degree of skill and accuracy we didn't even know he was capable of. Okay? And by the way, Nick Foles, one of 3 guys to throw 7 touchdown passes in a single game. The other 2 guys are NFL legend Y.A. Tittle and Peyton Manning. It's not like Nick Foles can't play. We know Nick Foles can play. And if you get Nick Foles away from Jeff Fisher, because that seems to be the magic ingredient to unlocking a quarterback's true potential, is if he's coached by Jeff Fisher, get that man away from Jeff Fisher. Right? You get Jared Goff away from Jeff Fisher, and you've got a pretty darn good quarterback. You get Nick Foles away from Jeff Fisher, he wins a Super Bowl. The key here is get people to not be coached by Jeff Fisher. And there's Nick Foles. We didn't know he was this good, or at least we didn't treat him like he was this good. And I think that he could be of value to some team. I think he's got to be in the right system. I don't think Nick Foles is the guy that you plug into any system and he's great. But in a league where quarterbacks are such a risk, a guy that you see can win a Super Bowl, you've got to take a chance on him. I think a first and fourth rounder is completely fair to ask. But even if the Eagles can't get someone to pony up the first and fourth rounder for Nick Foles, that is completely fine. They can't get someone to pony up the first and fourth rounder for Nick Foles. It's okay, because then they still have a quality backup, right? And should something happen to Carson Wentz again, God forbid, should something happen to Carson Wentz again, they'll have Nick Foles ready to step in, and they already know that he fits their system, that he works for them, and that he can hold down the fort until Carson Wentz returns, and hopefully you don't have another season-ending type injury, because Carson Wentz is a guy, he's not going to change the way that he plays. The reason why Carson Wentz is the guy that we like is because he does use his mobility. And yeah, the mobility comes with him taking some extra shots that he probably shouldn't take. And the fact of the matter is, it was on a quarterback scramble that he got injured in the first place. Granted, it was a quarterback scramble in which he did score the touchdown and then proceeded to throw the touchdown pass that got them the 2-point conversion before being diagnosed with a torn ACL. Because Carson Wentz is a boss. But the fact of the matter is, the dangerous way in which Carson Wentz plays football means you may have to rely on Nick Foles again. So if no one is willing to give you a first and fourth rounder for that guy, you just stand pat. It's a win-win situation if you're the Philadelphia Eagles. The Giants have traded with the Rams for Alec Ogletree, which I see what the Rams get out of this. Right? Ogletree is great, but that Rams defense is so good. I don't necessarily think that the Rams take a giant step back defensively because they've shipped away Ogletree, right? But they've gotten multiple draft choices back. The Rams get a 4th-round pick and a 6th-round pick in the 2018 draft, and that to me is where people are trying to win in the NFL draft. Is you're just trying to stockpile picks and see if you can get a premium on talent. And the Rams have a number of holes that they still need to fill. And the fact of the matter is that they made a very significant playoff push, but they were no match for the Eagles. And they're good enough to be a Super Bowl contender. They just need to fill in some of these gaps that they have. I think they need to get more dynamic at wide receiver. I think their offensive line could be better, and their pass rush is not great, right? Like, they were really good against the run, and Ogletree was a huge part of that, but their pass rush is not particularly dynamic. And I think that they want to beef up all of those things because they're probably going to be battling with the Eagles again if they want to try and say that they're making a push to a Super Bowl. So I see why this makes sense to the Rams. I honestly don't know what it is that the Giants think that they get out of Alec Ogletree. They are, no one is close to the Eagles in the NFC East. They are behind the 8 ball on that front. But I would also make the very strong argument that the Giants are behind the Cowboys and possibly even also behind the Redskins, because at least the Redskins have got their quarterback situation now figured out. Eli Manning is a guy that rode on a quarterback carousel last year for no good reason. Like, Eli Manning was not great last year, but without him, the Giants were worse. Now, they did suffer a lot of injuries, but they're not a good football team. Right? Now, I think you could have argued they'd win many more games if they had Odell Beckham Jr. out there, or any of their 3 good wide receivers, Brandon Marshall, Odell Beckham Jr., the old dirty Beckham, and Sterling. What's his name? But you just gotta have talent on multiple points of your team filled. If you're the Giants, they got a lot of holes, man. Their offensive line is rubbish. They still can't run the ball. Defensively, I don't like where they're at safety. They've got a whole lot of locker room issues. I don't like where the Giants are at all. I don't see what they get out of adding Alec Ogletree that, oh, yes, and now they're over the top. And I understand that maybe they've got many more moves to make before this is all said and done, but I'm not seeing it. I'm absolutely not seeing it. So, and I wonder about this because we've seen so many players get drafted by the Browns. And you get drafted by the Browns and essentially you vanish, right? You just fall into that maw of terrible front office work, terrible locker room culture, a lack of winning. This is a football team that has won exactly 1 football game in the last 2 years. And so when you're looking at all the draft picks in the draft, right, and the Browns are always drafting number 1 because they're the worst team. And they got Myles Garrett last year. And I know that maybe you don't pass on a guy like Myles Garrett, but the Browns are bad because they can't score. And you could maybe chuck that up to Hugh Jackson and coaching. That has not been my experience watching Cleveland. They can't score because they don't have the talent to score. They drafted Deshaun Kaiser. And how many times have we seen this? The Cleveland Browns have an opportunity. They have multiple first-round draft picks. And instead of drafting the guy that is for real the best quarterback in the draft, they take the next tier guy. So the Browns last year have the number 1 overall pick in the draft. And they could have taken any one of those top quarterbacks. And instead they take DeShone Kizer, who is the most project of all the quarterbacks. Why? And they've done this before. The year they drafted Johnny Manziel, again, top quarterbacks were available to them. And they didn't take them. The problem with the Cleveland Browns has been, for years, they can't score. Why don't they draft offensive players? And now the Browns are in this position again, right? They have a chance. They could draft another quarterback. I think that if you do, you take Darnold. I think you take Darnold. If you don't get Darnold, don't get anybody, because none of those guys are slam dunks. But if you take a guy, take Darnold. And so, yeah, I look at the Browns and I go, well, Saquon Barkley's available. I think that people fall into the Cleveland Browns organization and just vanish. And I'm afraid for Saquon Barkley that he might just fall into Cleveland and disappear. But that's the best running back prospect we've seen in years. Saquon Barkley is going to be better. And mark my words on this one, but Saquon Barkley is going to be better than Todd Gurley. And he's going to be better than Ezekiel Elliott. And he's going to be better than Leonard Fournette. Saquon Barkley is the best running back prospect that I have seen. The things that he was doing at Penn State, I have not seen a guy at his age do before. The way that he stays low to the ground, he's still incredibly quick. He rides behind his pads. You see a guy with this level of skill. Generally, you don't see that from a player that young, right? Like all the things that Saquon Barkley is doing, you generally have to coach a guy to do once he gets to the NFL. He reminds me a lot in that way of Marshawn Lattimore, who the Saints drafted last year. That Marshawn Lattimore came into the NFL, and he doesn't play running back. He's a corner. But he's a guy that came in. He was already polished. Marshawn Lattimore plays cover corner in the NFL like he's been playing in the NFL for years. That's the way that Saquon Barkley runs. He runs like he's already been in the NFL for just years and years, right? Like part of the dynamic ability and playmaking ability of Saquon Barkley is not just his strength, which is impressive. And it's not just his speed, which is impressive. But that Saquon Barkley has amazing technique. He's got absolutely impressive technique. And if you're the Cleveland Browns, if you let Saquon Barkley slip through your fingers, you don't deserve to win another game next year. You didn't win one last year, and you only won one in 2 years. You don't deserve to win ever again if you've got Saquon Barkley. And they do. They're the number 1 pick in the draft. You've got Saquon Barkley. I think you take Saquon Barkley number 1. He is the most sure thing in this draft. Easily. Right? It took me about halfway through the year to get around to watching Penn State play football because I really focus a lot on the SEC. And so I watch a lot of what this league is doing. But there gets to be a point in the year where you realize, okay, like there are certain teams that I just no longer need to sit down and suffer through watching. I don't need to suffer through watching Florida play football. There was a point where they were just so bad. You didn't need to sit down and suffer through it. I watch Tennessee every week because they're in our coverage area. I watch Georgia every week because they're in our coverage area. Like regardless of whether or not Tennessee was good, which they weren't last year. But there's a certain point where I didn't feel the need to suffer through watching Missouri play football. Football around week 5 of the college football season. And yeah, Saquon Barkley was the best thing happening in college football last year. And he will probably be one of the best things happening in the NFL next year. And if you have the number 1 overall pick, Cleveland, and you've botched this thing before, then understand you don't deserve to win games next year if you have a guy that talented and you let him slip through your fingers. He's the most sure thing in the NFL draft. One NFL scout said, and I quote, "I will punch myself in the nuts if we do not take Saquon Barkley." I couldn't agree more with that. Like you would deserve to not win any more football games. If that guy, if your team can't score, and the best sure thing offensively in the NFL is right there and you don't take him, yeah, you deserve to go 0-16 again. Clutch with Keon Rose on all new Nooga Radio, NoogaRadio.com, 92.7 FM. Thank you for joining me. Remember, folks, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Stay clutch, and I'll see you in 23 hours.
Chattanooga Morning News with Russ and Val. Weekdays from 6 to 9 a.m. on Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM. 3, 2, 1. Chattanooga Radio. Digital FM 95.3 HD4. 92.7 FM's news now.
Chattanooga police say that a woman was gunned down by a female suspect on 13th Street Courts Tuesday. Chattanooga police spokeswoman Eliza Mizal confirmed to the press that the shooting did occur on West 13th Street. They have arrested one suspect. The victim was hospitalized. Deputies in Bradley County are stepping up security. Bradley County Sheriff Eric Watson plans to set up security booths in front of Bradley Central and Walker Valley High Schools, along with marked sheriff's cars around the area. City officials in Chattanooga say that panhandling is a problem. Assistant Attorney Phil Noblett said that a resolution will be before the City Council by next week to deal with panhandling on a more city-wide basis. Police Chief David Roddy said his officers have been frustrated because they can't necessarily arrest people in certain areas. Make sure you catch the Sean Hannity Show every weekday from 3 to 6, only on Nooga Radio. Russell Stroud, Nooga Radio News Talk 92.7 News now.
95.3 HD4, 92.7 FM.
Expect fair to partly cloudy skies to continue through your nighttime. Cold overnight, lows mid and upper 20s. Now for your Wednesday, look for some sunshine with a breeze out of the north, though. Light cold, highs up around 40 with more mainly dry and cold weather expected through Friday. Celebrate the new year with Dixieland Fireworks, locally owned with the largest selection around. A Black Hat dealer with the lowest prices in Dixie. Dixieland Fireworks, just off I-75 on Ringgold Road, East Ridge. And I'm Sworn Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Hoare.
The Tennessee Valley's news talk leader, Nooga Radio, Digital FM 95.3 HD4 and 92.7 FM. Broadcasting live to over 1 million souls in Chattanooga, the Tennessee Valley, and beyond on frequency modulation 92.7. Sean Hannity, 25,000 watts on Digital FM 95.3 HD4. CBS Radio News. NASCAR, Bloomberg Markets, David Tulis, streaming strong at NoogaRadio.com. Live on YouTube and Facebook. Nooga Radio, News Talk 92.7. Chattanooga Radio.
Your car is broken or about to be, so the problem is, who do you trust? I wouldn't go any farther than Christian Brothers Automotive in Hickson. Come in today and take advantage of the new special. It's an oil change with synthetic oil. At $39, that's a steal. Synthetic oil makes your car or truck last longer. Some restrictions apply. At Christian Brothers, a great shop with a 2-year or 24,000-mile warranty. You decide. Free shuttle service, Class A mechanics. Local owner, nice difference. A synthetic oil change, $39. Wow.
Okay, you've got the girl. Now it's time to take it to the next level. The ring. The only place you need to know and go is to Goss Company Jewelers. Not only do they sell retail jewelry, but offer custom jewelry too. You want something unique and personalized? Charlie Goss can do it. Charlie will guide you through the process of finding the perfect ring. Your best girl deserves the ring from the best in the business. Trust Charlie Goss at Goss Company Jewelers, behind Chili's on Gun Barrel.
For years, you have heard these words, cash, 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 and more cash. Now, Rick wants you to buy on U.S. Gold American coins. Are you tired of making 1% on your investments with the banks, even 2 or 3% at best? Well, don't miss out. Stop by Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds at 5301 Brainerd Road in Chattanooga. Buy American. Buy now. Gold is on the rise. Certified U.S. Gold American Eagle coins at Rick Davis Gold and Diamonds, 5301 Brainerd Road in Chattanooga.
Aid a Veteran presents Vet Stock 2, May the 12th, 2018, at the Venue Barn at Kimsey Acres in Cleveland, Tennessee. Live music from 5 bands, Madison Rising, Greg Irwin Band, Steel Horse, Wasted Riffs, and Heist Cold. $10 admission, $15 day of show. Vendors of all kinds. Food and drinks on 20-plus acres. Overnight camping is available. Purchase your tickets before April the 1st and enter the contest to win a free Chattanooga riverboat cruise for 2. Please come out and support our local veterans. Go to www.aidaveteran.com. Doors will open at 12 noon. We will also have a petting zoo for the children until 4 o'clock. Then the event will pop off. That's www.aidaveteran.com.
Mark Truex Jr. is off the pace and he is headed to the pit lane. Elliott Powers around the outside. Michael McDowell pops a right front tire. Here's Mark Truex to the bottom. Blaney blocks him off too. Meanwhile, Chase Elliott went 4 wide on the back straightaway. They're side by side for the lead.
Hear it live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Nooga Radio, 92.7 FM, 95.3 HD4.
The voice of NASCAR.
Charge! Get back there, you dang Yankee!
WVLZ HD4 Ottawa, W224AZ Chattanooga.
92.7, Digital FM 95.3 HD4.
Chattanooga.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by TheraWorks Relief.
I'm Pam Coulter. Responding to the deaths of 17 people in the Parkland school shooting, Florida lawmakers gave final approval today to a gun safety bill. It imposes a 3-day waiting period for all firearm purchases, raises the age to buy a rifle to 21, and allows for the arming of some school employees. CBS's Bill Rakoff.
The 67-50 vote in the Florida State House did not fall along partisan lines and reflected a mix of opposition and support from Democrats and Republicans alike. The bill raises the legal age to purchase a firearm from 18 to 21, bans the sale of bump stocks, and would allow for the arming of some public school personnel. The bill becomes law in 15 days unless Governor Rick Scott were to veto it.
Police are investigating a shooting at a Birmingham, Alabama high school today as accidental. A 17-year-old girl was killed and a 17-year-old boy was injured. Interim Police Chief Orlando Wilson.
This should not happen in schools. We send our kids to school and things of this nature happen. It's unfortunate.
The second winter storm in a week is making driving miserable in the Northeast and New England.
They were kind of a mess.
It was awful. Don't go out there. It's really slippery. I have all-wheel drive, and I was still sliding all over the place.
Before it's all over tomorrow, some parts of the Northeast could get 18 inches of snow. CBS's David Parkinson.
We have those super clip-tight bands of intense snowfall, 2 to 3 inches per hour. So we were thinking that some places could get an extra 4 to 8 on top of what we were forecasting. And that's exactly what happened in some of those spots. And that's what we're expecting to see as we go up into Massachusetts and Connecticut.
It's not every day that a porn star sues the president of the United States, but Stormy Daniels is over an agreement to keep quiet about her alleged affair with Donald Trump. CBS's Stephen Portnoy.
The White House denies Stormy Daniels' account of a sexual relationship with the president, but Mr. Trump's lawyer Michael Cohen acknowledges he paid Daniels $130,000 in a settlement that demanded her silence. And Cohen now confirms he went to an arbitrator to enforce that confidentiality agreement, which Daniels is now suing to get out from under. The White House spokeswoman says the president's lawyers won in arbitration. But Daniels' attorney calls that claim ludicrous, noting there hasn't been a ruling on the merits.
British officials believe a Russian spy and his daughter were deliberately poisoned with a banned substance. Scotland Yard's Mark Rowley.
These two people remain critically ill in hospital. Sadly, in addition, a police officer who was one of the first to attend the scene and respond to the incident, he's now also in a serious condition in hospital.
The Dow was down 82. This is CBS News.
To prevent and relieve muscle cramps in your legs and feet, use TheraWorks Relief. Get TheraWorks Relief today at select CVS and Rite Aid pharmacies or TheraWorksRelief.com.
Doors are being slammed in your face, and bad credit is holding you back from buying a house, car, even getting a credit card. $99 can put your credit back to a 720 or higher. That's right, just $99. Bankruptcy, tax liens, judgments, and even late pays can be removed from credit reports by calling the Giving Days Foundation. A nonprofit organization is here to help. Federal law allows you to challenge each and every item on your credit report. We'll recalculate your personal credit score for only $99 and repair your personal credit for free. Just be one of the first 10 callers. Take our personal credit challenge. Get your credit score to a 720. 800-482-4094. Call now to recalculate your personal credit score for only $99 and repair your personal credit for free. Call now. 800-482-4094. Don't miss this great free credit repair. Just be one of the first 10 callers. 800-482-4094.
The truth about dogs is they like baby talk.
Hey, little boy. It helps babies bond to their parents. Now, British scientists have confirmed that using baby talk with our dogs helps them bond with us, too. The scientists measured the amount of attention dogs pay to humans using what they called dog-directed speech versus adult-directed speech. They found the dogs most wanted to interact with the humans who used dog-directed speech, especially when the content was news the dogs could use.